Morning everybody, Mike Niemiec here with some early morning grain and oilseed comments for Thursday, January 30th. Overnight trade, we're up around 3 cents in the wheat, we're up around a penny in the corn, we're down now 5 cents in the beans, down 3.50 in the meal, and we're up around 5 points in the soybean oil. So one thing I want to go and point on out here first off is that we're still with this trend of beans and meal versus what's going on in the wheat, corn, and soybean oil. In the wheat yesterday, however, there's a couple of things I just want to go and point on out, which I think is kind of going on in there. We canceled all the Kansas City registrations, and now we're canceling even more Chicago software wheat registrations. But in the limelight, the funds still want to continue to go and pound the wheat market, where they sold in the neighborhood of around 8,000 contracts yesterday. So theoretically, they are adding to their short position in the wheat market here in Chicago, and thus, if we are out there trying to do some business, even we are competitive, and we'll see what our weekly sales are later on this morning, the fund trade still continues to want to go and hit the wheat market. In the corn, the funds were net sellers of around 6,000 contracts in it yesterday. The ethanol numbers were pretty fair. We're going to go and get our export sales out this morning. Wide range, 200 to maybe 1 million tons of corn export sales expected here in the next 15 minutes or so. But once again, the corn market seemingly just being kind of traumatized between the $4, $4.50 level with a 1.6 carry out. I thought it was kind of curious to go and find out that we were cheaper a little bit than Brazilian and Ukrainian corn prices. But once again, are we out there trying to get the, how do you want to say it, the fund guy to be a motivated buyer in the marketplace? It's still a little bit traumatic. The beans, however, funds were net sellers of 7,000 beans yesterday. They were sellers in the neighborhood of 3,000 meal and 2,000 soybean oil. Once again, the overnight trade found out that where the beans and the meal were on the negative side, while the wheat, corn, and soybean oil were on the plus side. The index roll is going on right now. So here we are is another objective as far as what's really going on in the marketplace. If the index guys are going to go and roll out of the positions in the beans and the meal, we see this happen on and on and on again, where the spreads go and take a little bit of a limp mode going fast forward, even though we are out there still doing bean business and or meal business. We'll find out once again what our export sales are. But yesterday's news also was going to go and try and say that the Chinese were out there once again switching, canceling, things of that nature, going to South America versus us because of the South American crop weather, that being the Argentinians and or the Brazilians are okay. And the other thing is the Argentinian farmer going to go and start to go and sell their soybeans now that they know that they have 2 crops on hand. The other thing on a technical point yesterday that we did in the first time in a long time, we closed below the 200-day moving average in the soybean market yesterday. Is that going to go and spur on technical selling coming into the bean market because of the fact that the trade is still net long the beans and the meal? We're still well above it in the meal, and once again, I mentioned this before, that's the only market that we're still above in the 200-day moving average. But it is a precursor for people that want to go and watch that type of thing to go and try and say, hey, now we're starting to break down the bean market. We're well below it in the wheat, we're well below it in the corn, we're well below it in the bean oil, but now all of a sudden does it start to go and play a little bit of a moxie into the bean market now that we're below it, and we did it yesterday for the first time. So once again, index rolls, negative for the spreads. We'll see what our export sales are, below the 200-day moving average. We'll get our export sales out a little bit later on this morning, and the weather down in South America is still conducive. Once again, these are my opinions, not that of ADM or ADMIS. Thank you.